For someone who supposedly streams as often as I do, I tend to, like, more times than not have a damn idea what I'm doing. Hopefully, at least the music is helpful. Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully. So what I'm doing, I must be doing. My mind goes, I must be doing this wrong because I am currently not seeing anything. Okay. Oh yeah, come on. I definitely need to think about getting a natural thumbnail for that. All right, so my audio is being heard, and most of my face is kind of not blurry. Um, so with that being said, let me start off by saying, hey guys. So this is like another episode of the vlog that I do versus like a weekly, monthly, however really update of like what's going on in my life. And let me tell you, in the this is the shortest month of the year, and so much has happened. And the thing that I've had the strongest difficulty with is being able to put into words the craziness that has more or less happened in the span of of the past 28 days. Um, and also trying to remember everything that I said before. Now that I think about it, like I obviously don't want to repeat myself, but at the same time, um, I don't want to repeat myself, but that seems to be a pretty good stance to have there. Um, there's no way for me to see to know what is said unless I semi watch the no, not really semi watch the video. Like fast forward. Uh, we talked about child support last time. Wow, co-parenting, car issues, son's trumpet, story of a man, surgery of my stepdaughter, and toxic friends. Which is a little bit more than what I thought I would be talking about. Wow. Um, and that was all February, the beginning of February. So like we talked about the child support that happened in February. February 7th was the day that we actually got it. So um that was good, but you're about to hear like, a roller coaster of stories that does affect that. Um and it's gonna be crazy across the board. I'm trying to figure out where to start, well, where not to start it and how to talk about it. Okay, so um I try to type this in. Um So the first thing I have here is co-parenting nightmare. And honestly, this is probably switch. I don't need to look at myself as much as I need to look at my notes. Um, yeah, and I make notes about this because I can't just like talk openly about certain things because otherwise, as you can see, I end up rambling, and no one wants to deal with me rambling. Okay, okay. So I'm like, oh, it's called co-parenting nightmare, and like it didn't give me a hint on this is what I was going to talk about. I'm like, oh, this is a heavy thing to talk about. Um, so while I was married to my son's mother, she had an affair for over half of our marriage to this guy, and let's call him Jerk Off. Let's call him Jerk Off. All right, so she had an affair with Jerk Off and whatever, and she's really tight with Jerk Off's family. Like Jerk Off's mom, Jerk Off's sister. She, matter of fact, is staying with Jerk Off's sister, and there was whispers that um that Jerk Off was somehow back in the picture. I'm like, oh well, even though it makes sense for people like that to flock together, and I'm definitely censoring the words that I probably would be using. My mind's like, why? Considering that whenever my son's mother came back into town, quote unquote, the first thing she mentioned was the idea that she doesn't have anybody here, but apparently she has enough people here, enough people for her to have a place constantly. Let me phrase. I don't mean a place. A couch to surf on, or at least to sleep on. I don't know her sleeping arrangements. I don't know if it's an actual couch, but it's still the idea of like you're living on somebody else's like in somebody else's home, and that is definitely not. I understand doing that, like, oh yeah, I'm on hard times and I'm trying to raise myself up and all that stuff, but it's been like a year, maybe two, that she's been back, and this seems to be where she wants to be. So, regardless, though, Jerkoff and his entire family seem to gravitate towards. Well, I'm saying that backwards. My son's mother seems to gravitate to people like Jerkoff and his family, which is weird because Jerkoff does have a sister, and once again, I'm trying to think about ways for me to say people without saying their name, because some people get really particular. Hey, use my name in your video. I don't appreciate that. So, I'm gonna call this person Skinny. So, Jerkoff has a sister named Skinny, and Skinny has been a great friend. She was one of the first people who actually told me about the affair that my son's mom was having and everything else. And at that time, I didn't believe her, and I was kind of I completely blew her off in the entire scenario, like situation, because at the time I was very I believe my wife would not do such thing, because in my mind that's just how that works, but in other people's mind obviously does not work that way. But even after that, me and Skinny were extremely close, super close, and there was an incident where I saw this woman at the park. I took me and Don took the kids to the park, and there's this woman going, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey," and she's like, "Do you recognize me? Do you remember who I am?" And I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. I don't mean any disrespect, but I encounter a lot of people, and I don't remember like most of them. So you might have to give me a little bit more information on who you are for me to know who you are." Which to me that makes sense. And this woman was like, "Oh, I'm Skinny's mom." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I like Skinny. Oh cool, you helped raise Skinny. Oh, we must have had a good rapport." And I actually started going in for a hug, and she reminds me that, "Oh, I'm also Jerkoff's mom." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And it was like instant poison. Like it was instant like nerve gas. It was instant mustard gas. It was instant like, oh, I don't want to even be in this area anymore. So me and everybody else, I was like, yo, we'll go anywhere. We'll go get the pizza, get the food. We'll go like the fun place, like, that's indoors that they actually like. Well, I will do almost anything and whatever to be able to not be here right now, because one, like, I don't know what this woman's goal would have been to talk to me, knowing what her jerk off of a son. Granted, I know that my son's mom would have probably done this with any Tom, Dick, or Harry. It was just a lot of things around that. So keep in mind, there's a lot of history with jerk off, but there's also a lot of things I'm not going to get into, not because I don't want to, but because I don't want to bore you guys with the details, and I don't know how to word it right now because it's not part of my notes. But apparently, like, I heard that they were back together as of recently, and I'm like, well, and that kind of, I struggle extremely hard and I'll say this, and I know some of you guys are probably like, oh, he's gonna pull the card. Like, I'm gonna have to, because it's relevant in this case. Why? Because I'm black. I am a black male, and when people tend to see a black male, especially a black male of my size, they tend to kind of say things like, "Oh, like," no, not say, I can't say it. I feel that people feel, and I could be wrong about this, whatever. That, oh, angry black man, he's dangerous. We have to put him down, cage him up, unless he's docile and quiet and reserved and this, that, whatever. And that is something that society and people have more or less proven to be a thing, right? So I say that to say that upon hearing this, my mind virtually had to tell itself, do not react. And the person who was telling me this information was looking for a reaction. They were just kind of like standing there, like, not like telling me this information. And I'm just kind of like, okay. Like, kind of like leave so I can kind of like express on my own without having to worry about repercussions. I'm not saying I would flip the table, but I knew that if I reacted in front of this person in any sort of the way other than like deadpan, it would have been an issue later. So, and it ended up being an issue later because it was like, okay, I don't know what you want from me. You told me the information that you needed to tell me, and I am processing it at my own pace here. And here I am talking about the same thing for like 10 minutes. So let me try to speed this up. So Jerkoff is now dating my son's mom. And it was suspected that look, I realize that sounds in here. Jerkoff dating son's mom. And I'm like, okay, cool. As long as they're not living together, I don't really have an issue. She can date whoever. But once it becomes, oh, this is the living environment that my son will have to deal with, the guy who came in openly and kind of like ruined a marriage, household, and home wrecker and everything else. I think most parents in this situation of the person who broke us apart should not be part of the future. Especially like in some retrospect, it should be like, okay, well, that kind of should be in the past, or like, you know, if you really got with this person and whatever. But like it's definitely like an off and on, because my son's mom is very much the how do you say this without getting in trouble? And I say in trouble like, you know, oh, like what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. And I almost want to use the term hot potato, but like that seems inappropriate, but you gotta get the image. So like I'm thinking that, oh, it can't be a serious thing, because she dated multiple people afterwards, multiple of her friends afterwards. So I'm like, okay, well, date people, put them in the past, move forward. And like honestly, I would have done this with her if it wasn't for the fact that we share a child. So, like, whenever I was told this information, like, oh yeah, they're back together, it is a lot of different emotions, a lot of different things I was feeling, but I wasn't really thinking nothing about it until Skinny hit me up going, hey, just to let you know, I found out some information, and she's pissed for, like, that reason and a series of different other reasons, but one of the things she wanted to call me was like, oh yeah, Jerkoff is staying with your son's mom. And I'm like, of course. Because, and I'm like there's no legal repercussions I can have it, because like even though the guy is kind of like a bum, a drug user, just like a kind of like a worthless piece of, because like he's a baby daddy of 3 kids and owns none. Like all of his baby mamas take care of all of his kids. I'm pretty sure. I realize I said something that I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't even take care of his own kids, because it's not mentioned on at all about his kids, about maybe his other sister's kids, which I probably should give her a name too, but she's not important to the story. But like she has kids too, and that's another reason why Skinny messaged me, because Skinny wanted to tell me, oh yeah, your son's mom's trying to like, you know, discipline my nieces and nephews, and fuck that. fuck that hoe. And I'm like, wow, you don't even talk like that. She's like, I'm that pissed because she is trying. She failed on one child and is failing on the second one and giving you grief for no reason. And now she's gonna try to pretend that she's like a good parental figure to somebody else's kids. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's sucky. But at the time I should sound this, I'm like thinking to myself, okay, my son actually at that time was already down there for weekend visits, and I'm like, okay, so like, should I stop them? Like, the dynamic of the household has definitely changed, but like, I can't prove that. I can't prove that anything nefarious is happening. I can't prove that anything bad is happening. And until I do, I can't even, like, there's no one to call if I, like because it is the equivalent of being, and I hate this term so much, so know that when I say this term, I am angry. I am just that angry. If I were to go to like court and tell the judge, hey, the dynamic of the household has changed, I don't think that the environment is safe enough for my son to go in. They're gonna say you're butthurt because your ex is back with the person that she used to break up your household at the time. And I can say no to the moon, but like they're gonna say this is how you're feeling, and you can't prove otherwise because you can't prove. Excuse me, you can't prove that there's anything nefarious happening. I'm like, yeah, and that's where I'm at. I'm always at this stage of limbo where I kind of don't like what's happening, but I also can't prove that it needs to be stopped. With that being said, going on to the next segment, because I actually did talk about that one thing for 15 minutes. I don't plan to make that a regular thing. I'm going to try to shorten that. So the same weekend, and same phone call that Skinny told me was that, hey, by the way, your son's mother decided just to cut his hair. And for those of you who know my son, he had a beautiful, like, lion mane kind of hair, like Justin Timberlake, like pretty boy kind of hair. And I was furious. I'm like, I got no text, I got no phone call, and from the sound of it, it sounded like it already happened. Like the cutting of the hair has already happened and concluded. And I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, this is ridiculous. And I am just kind of like, I'm fuming, and I'm like, okay, this seems to be good enough grounds. I'm trying to formulate the argument that I would have in front of a judge or a committee or whatever, or in front of somebody on the phone. I'm trying to like think in my head, okay, how do I say that this bitch decided to cut my son's hair? Yes, my son, because even though we share it, she's acting like she's the only parent, and that's obviously not the case. Like, how do I articulate that she decided to change the physical appearance without consulting me at all? And I was like trying to not become the angry black man, trying very, very hard. But I was definitely becoming very like upset, obviously, because like I love my son's hair, and you know everybody has loved my son's hair since the day that he was born and had it. And it seems like for whatever reason she just likes destroying that. And I'm thinking about all these, like I'm thinking about the arguments and the points I need to make, and then like maybe an hour or two before I go to pick him up, she sends me a text saying, by the way. And when I say she sent me a text, I meant that his mother sent me a text saying, by the way, his hair's cut. And I'm like, well, that kind of threw out the argument that I had at the time, because I'm like, without consulting me, and she still didn't consult me, but she informed me. And people gonna be like, it's a haircut. Why are you being upset about a haircut? I'm like, it's the principle of it. It's the lack of respect, the blatant show of disrespect. It is all of that. So, with her sending me the text, I was like, oh, well, I can't use that as a defense so much, because now it has shifted to the concept of she didn't console me on something that she was doing with our son. And this is where it becomes now our son. Because she did inform me, but she informed me after the fact. So that kind of makes my anger a little bit more mute. Not disregarding it. Just I could not be as angry because she took that step to. No. But how do I say it? I could not present myself to be justifiably angry because she has informed me, and then I told her specifically, if this happens again, if you tell me about something that happens after the fact without consulting me at all, I'm going to have to do something. I didn't word it like that. I'm trying to remember how I worded it, and this is how it's coming to my mind. And I know I didn't word it like that, but it's still the idea that consequences will happen. And the consequence that I have in mind, like, okay, cool, we're just gonna cancel overnight stays because if you want to be able to see him physically, we're gonna have to go to court at that point, because I cannot. If I can't trust you that, like, oh, when he goes over there, he's going to be fine, or like, yeah, like, he's fine, it was a haircut, but that he doesn't. But if he comes back in a different state than how I delivered him, that seems like something I should have a case on. But most people are gonna be like, well, it was just his hair. She didn't make him bald, and like, if I could show you guys the haircut, like, you would see that, like, it wasn't a good haircut. It wasn't a good haircut at all. It seemed like it was done in the bathroom with like horrible old clippers. It was just bad. And it was just a really frustrating situation. So I expressed that to her, like, hey, next time tell me before you do it. And get this, her response was, if I tell you beforehand, will you just say no? And I'm like, that's not the point. There's not the point whether I say yes or no to it. I am not like a custodian. I am not a government official. I am his father. Pure and simple, A and B, point to point. When that happens, when anything involves him, I'm the primary. We don't really have shared custody. You gave that up when you decided to go to Grand Canyon, sorry. Like, you decided to do that whenever you move states and states away. Like you cannot be a part-time mom continuously and think that you have the same ability to do as you always do. That is not how life works. But hold on, I don't know. Well, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. Maybe I'm the one in the wrong. And if I am, express to me how. Let me know in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. Just let me feel that, like, give me some feedback so I know whether or not, like where other people like been in this. Have you been in situations like this? Especially that, because I definitely would love to hear other people's stories when it comes to, like, oh, I have struggled with my ex-part, but the parent of my child. And this is the story behind that. So, like, there's that. So that was definitely not a fun thing that I had to go through over the whole haircut thing. Not only that, and this is gonna sound, I'm hating myself about this, but because this is such a hard thing for me to argue. So that happened. The haircut, the jerk off being there, that happened the weekend of the 7th to the 9th, right? They went back down on the 21st to the 23rd, and when he got into the car, I noticed his hair looked a little bit different. Oh, by the way, side note, whenever I asked him about the haircut, he said it was something that he wanted to do. Once he said that, I'm like, crap, I might lose. The chance of me winning an argument beyond that would have been mute, because it's like, oh, once he says that he wants it, regardless of if he was influenced to say it or not, it would have to be very present that he was influenced to say, oh yeah, I wanted this. But the haircut was so bad, guys. But like, since he said this was something that he wanted, I knew that the chances of me kind of winning a argument or case or anything like that beyond that would have been tremendously, like, diminished. So it's one of those, like, I didn't show him that I was angry. I was like, hey, but I don't really care for the haircut, but since you wanted it, we'll accept it for right now. But I even told him, like, in the future, if you like this kind of haircut, cool, we'll go to a professional and let them do it. We'll or hell, I'll do it, because, like, I do my own hair. Yeah, I know it's not exactly the best in the world, but, like, it gets the job done. they would do it like that. And then the next time he went down to his mom, he came back. I'm like, your hair looks a little bit different. Oh yeah, they cut it lower. I'm on trying. Okay, you know what, buddy? I'm not even mad at you. I'm mad at your mom for doing trifling stuff. So I sent her a message going, and it wasn't like it was like it looked like they were trying to fix the like how they messed it up. And I'm like, once again, talking about the idea of transparency and everything else, and how important being transparent is when it comes to co-parenting, like, you know, co-parent nightmare. All I ask is that, you know, you're being upfront with stuff, and you continue to not be upfront with stuff, things will happen. Consequences will be endured. It's one of those, like, I am trying my best, and I know most people out there probably be like, nah, fuck it, I would have scorched earth. She would have not seen her child. It would have been like, she would have to have gone to court for anything else to happen. Like this it would have been a lot worse. And I'm like, I know, but I've been playing this, not just this custody battle, the divorce battle, and everything involving her. It's like I've been in this game for so long. I know that the stack is built up against me because I've seen it. I've gone to court with all of my paperwork, and she doesn't even bring ID with her, and they are leaning towards helping her. Because she is the mom, she is the woman, and all that. And I don't mean that in the sexist sense. I really mean, like, if I do everything right and she does nothing, she still can beat me. She can still win. Going like, oh yeah, because I'm a real, like, she pull on the tears and all that. Like, oh, I still, and I'm over here with all my paperwork and everything I'm supposed to do, and they like, oh, sir, why are you doing this? I'm like, whenever we first had the visitation, they're like, why can't you go and see her? Oh, because she has a car, I don't not. She's the one that moved, I didn't move. The resources here where I live, being the agencies that I'm part of, the class that I attend to, and the personnel that are, like, you know, working with me with all this, they are located here. You guys want me to go to some rinky-dink place that doesn't even do anything for, like, to be able to see my son? And I'm like, I have this plan, this case plan that is sound and like, you know, it makes sense, and it benefits our son more so than me traveling over there. And they're like, well, maybe you should just consider just trashing that entire thing and just doing what she wants. And I'm like, and that was the mediator. That was like media number 3. That was like, you should just do that. I'm like, yeah. So like, yeah. So like, keep in mind, like, whenever the idea of, like, you guys would have done scorched earth, and you guys might have had the resources to do that, like money for lawyers and what have you. Keep in mind, I don't have the money for lawyers. All the legal stuff that I've ever done, I've learned how to do it and did it. I got the forms, I understood the terminology to the best as I could, so it would benefit me in my case. I did all that me. There was like, and because I had to. It was either that or, like, you know, bye fatherhood, and like I was just never okay with that. So yeah, like, so comes back because they were trying to fix the hair, and I told her, look, I'll let this one slide. And once again, that might have been a mistake. And I totally understand that, but like, it was such a small, minute thing. Like, if it was like, oh, she colored his hair, or it was a brand new haircut, whatever, then it'll be a different issue. Then it'll be a conversation of, like, okay, you have just lost your weekend stays. You don't get any face-to-face time. If you want that, we're gonna have to go to a judge, and they're gonna have to look into your background, how you live. Keep in mind, I'm pretty sure they live in like a 2-bedroom house, right? And it's my son's mom, jerk off sister, jerk off sister's boyfriend, and 2 of their kids. So like, that's 6 people in a 2-bedroom household. So, like, you know, Child Protective Services would obviously have to come in there and take a look at that whole situation. So I'm pretty sure she wants to avoid that, and I'm not trying to avoid that. But at the same time, if that happens, I also have to be prepared for them to come here. And then here's great. Here's great. Like except for like my living, like my office here is a little bit cluttered, but Donna keeps this place immaculate. Immaculate. And when we get on the kids about, hey, whenever you're done with a section, you pick up your station. The area that you were playing in, you gotta take that stuff up to your room, put your stuff away in your room, that kind of stuff. So and another thing, it is just us living here. We don't have Donna's relatives here and my relatives here, or our friends staying here too. Like, no, it's just us. This is our home. And I will be damned if I ever feel uncomfortable in my home ever again. Like, where I lay my head it should be the peace of mind that anybody in the world deserves. Period. So I said I wasn't gonna do this, and I did it. Another 15 minutes on another topic, but yeah. So the haircut was done. A trim was done, it didn't look better, but it didn't look worse. It looked like they were trying to fix it, and I'm just like, yeah, if you do it again, I don't care what it is, and you do not communicate with me that you're doing shit. Look, because once again, I'm not even mad about the shit in itself. I'm mad that it's being done, and it's kind of like, fuck him. And I'm not a fan of being fucked like that. Just being honest. Just being completely honest about that. So there's that. Oh, here's another thing. So late registration, soccer registration. So it was the day before Valentine's Day, and as I'm putting my son to bed, I see that his closet door was open, and upon further inspection, everything just kind of fell out of it, like just like boom, just like because it was way it was piled up in there. So I'm like, yeah, let's go take care of this real quick. So while we were taking care of it, found out that his old backpack, because mom was like, he really wanted his backpack, and I got it for him. I'm like, no, do not. This is not the battle that you want. This is not the battle that you want. You're not gonna have a battle over a backpack. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, you got him. So, good for you, being a parent for a little bit. But yeah, we go through his stuff, and then he hands me this green piece of paper. I'm like, what is this? It was like registration for soccer, and I'm like, when did you get this? Like, when I was down at your mom's place. Boom. He was like, when I was down at my mom's place, being his mom's place, and I was like, buddy, you don't get school stuff down there. What do you mean? And upon further questioning and looking into it, apparently it's not a school related thing, it's just the area related thing. I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at it, and it was at that time the night of the 13th, and that week was already late registration, and late registration ended on the 17th. I'm looking at the calendar right here. So I'm like, shit, I need to find a way, and the paper doesn't tell you how much it is. You have to go to the website to be able to register, and then that will tell you how much it is. I'm like, this is dumb, but I'll look into it. I'll look into it, buddy. Because I'll give him that effort. I'll also look into it. But keep in mind, I think earlier that week, last episode you guys heard that the car broke down. I got a new alternator. I had to get a new alternator, and then put it in with me and my granddad and my son putting it in together. And then this week, well, not this week, not that week, but the week after that week, the car died again, and we had to replace the battery. At that time, I was already tapped out financially, more or less. But usually what I did with the child support was that I took half of it, put it off to the side, and when I was going to get the next child support, I was going to take that half, put that off to the side, add that to the one I already put away, and then put that into the bank. That way, it's like, okay, that's savings. That's right there. Or in some way, shape, or form, let's save it for him. So okay, this is just here, in case of emergencies, in case he wants to, he actually does want to go to summer camp, in case of something that requires this amount of money, here it is. But when the battery thing happened, I'm like, crap. I only really have, I think at the time, $40 in the account. And the battery was 120. And I'm like, fuck. But we need the battery because we need the car. We need the car because transportation to and from school, doctor's appointments. My son is part of Boy Scouts, so you know, those kind of activities and what have you. Driving him down to see his mom because she don't have no car. Which honestly, like if things move forward, it would definitely be like, okay, well then I am not going to drive him down. But that's a future thing. She might figure something out there. She might not. I don't care. But like it's still the idea. Like the car is a very important asset when it comes to a family, especially how I operate my family. So I felt not only was it an emergency, but it was a necessity to get that battery for my car so that everything else can run smoothly. Because I knew my son did not like walking to school in like cold weather. I couldn't get nobody else reliable to be able to like reliably take him. Because like I can't rely on other people. People like simple as that. And I didn't want him walking all the time. I didn't want to risk him being hit or like him losing attention, being wherever. I just wanted him to be as safe as possible, and that's usually by like the car. So yeah, I had to use 100 of his money that we were planning to buy stuff with. Like we were like, we were gonna get like. Me and my son picked out a new dresser for him that he liked, a new alarm clock. The alarm clock that he has is fine, but he says he needs something louder. I'm like, you just need to go to bed sooner. Like, no, Dad, you don't understand. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. We'll just do it your way, and we'll see how well that works. So keep in mind, there is no money. Everything's tapped out. Everything is completely tapped out at this point. So as I'm looking into the internet and looking into the late registration on the soccer registration, registration itself was like $70. I'm like, maybe I could find a way to sell one thing or whatever. But then like the gear itself, like the uniform top and bottom with cleats and shin guards and all that stuff, that was $150 on top of the 70. And then on top of that was the sports insurance. Can I open that up? Which is like a $30 thing on top of that, right? And I'm trying to see if I can see. Yeah, good. Because I do not remember the password for that. I'm glad my computer remembers my password for things. Yeah, I'm about to say like it might not even show me. Yeah, it won't show my orders. Yeah, because I already missed the window. Obviously, it won't show. There's it was insurance and some other small thing, and I don't remember what the other small thing was. But regardless, without the other small thing, already it was a grand total of $350. And like I said, we just spent the last $140 on the car battery, which was a necessity. But with all of that, I still felt like a very, very shitty dad. I felt like the worst dad ever because, like, oh, and keep in mind there was no communicate. So he got this at his mom's place, but not from his mom, from his mom's roommate, is what he told me. And I'm like, no one told me, no one informed me that they gave you this, and they gave this to him like weeks ago. And I'm like, they could have let me know. We could probably plan something out in that period of time. But no, they want to be special. The special way that they are special. So, like, that was extremely annoying. Yeah, about an hour. But luckily I had a lot of friends who were able to talk to me and be like, yes, after school activities, like those kind of sports are very pricey, especially for a grown boy like my son. And keep in mind, that was not even a guarantee that he'd make the team. Like, he would still have to like try out. And I'm like, oh geez, and like spending that much money for a possibility for him to get in, even a fraction of that for a possibility to get in when I have nothing on me at all, it was just kind of heartbreaking to me. And I'm like, there was no way around it. There was no way that I could have done things better or done, avoided this, that, whatever. It was just a very shitty situation. Once again, my friends were just awesome and great, being able to communicate with me, like, everything that, like, was going down. And, like, hey, it's a normal thing. It kind of sucks, especially when they give you information late and the co-parenting is falling apart because the other person sucks as a human being. I'm like, yeah, it really is a very... very, very disappointing situation, but I'm trying to do the best I can with it. The next thing here, I got like late band dismissal. So last episode we talked about how my son was able to dupe everybody into believing that he knew how to play the trumpet. He does not know how to play the trumpet, but he duped everybody into believing for 2 years that he could. And I'm like, man, you don't have to take your trumpet with you to school anymore, because we already talked to the teachers and everything else. It doesn't, like, there's no point in you carrying the extra thing if you're not like, are you still going to class? Like, yeah, I'm still going to the class. I'm like, you don't need to. Maybe you should use that study hall to do your homework, because my son's biggest struggle when it comes to education, going to school, is that like he needs more time to like do tasks, because sometimes his mind would like wander and it's hard for him to snap it back into place. So I was like, yeah, maybe we should focus on the study hall to keep your grades up and everything. I think this was another reason for that. Oh, maybe I should put that down in my notes. Here we go. Swimming. So yeah, it took about maybe like until about Valentine's Day for me to be like, hey buddy, if you don't talk to your teachers today about what you gotta do about dropping in class, I'm gonna have to talk to them. And I'm pretty sure you don't want me talking to them, because that, not that I would have been belligerent or I would have been mean, but it would have been like, how do you guys not notice that my son is not playing a single instrument? Like, he's playing an instrument, but like, you know, he's not playing an instrument. But it's one of those, band is one of those things like, oh, everybody participates, so it's a group effort. So if somebody's not even blowing into the instrument, it doesn't matter, because everybody else is blowing into the instrument. And like, I'm like, but like, yeah, I'm like, hey, either you do it or I do it. And if I do it, then like, you know, you leave nothing here today. It's like, I can do that, I can do it. And goes to school, comes back, did you do it? Oh man, I forgot. I'm like, cool, I'm doing it. So I message, he has a direct teacher up there, not a homeroom teacher, but like a teacher that helps him with like some of his assignments and whatnot. And I talked to her like, hey, this is a situation, this is what's going on. She's like, okay, cool, I'll get him out of the class and put him in study hall. Next day, I like, oh cool, buddy, like, did you go to the class? He's like, yeah. I'm like, buddy, you don't even have your trumpet with you. Why are you going to the class? Like, because I don't know where study hall is, but I know where this class is at. I'm like, did you ask anybody? He's like, no. I'm like, my boy, help me help you. So like, I messaged the person, and she's like, oh, I happen to be the study hall teacher as well, so I'll help him figure out where study hall's at. So yeah, it took about 2 weeks after we had that conversation after we had that discovery of him not being able to play that instrument. So yeah, learning things new every day. So that was the late band dismissal, right? There we go. I'm winding down. Trust me, I am. Because right now it's 42. So what I have is me and my ex forever. And this is it sounds weird, but understand what I am trying to say here. Because there is no love between me and my son's mother. Zero zilch. It is virtually a form of war, and I'm trying to do the best I can, because I already know that I feel that I am that the game's stacked against me, and I have to be perfect to even have a chance. It has to be a level of perfection. I can't be like a halfway in, halfway out. I have to be all in, all the time. Their kind of dad for the course to go, you know what, you're doing a decent job, an okay job. So we'll let you have your son. Like, I'm like, I am damn near Superman out here, or at least trying to be, and I get an okay. Whereas she does nothing, and they're like, oh, poor you. So like, I understand that is a constant battle. However, in the beginning, my comprehension and processing of the information was kind of like, not like after the initial shock of everything that went down, thinking about, oh, when he turns 18, life will be a lot simpler. And I realized it won't be. It won't be, because he'll be on his own when he's 18, or he'll be, living with me until he's 19, kind of thing. Kind of depends on how, one, whenever he's done with school, and two, what his plans are after school, and I'm already like formulated. Okay, I want to try to see if I can get him either into schooling or into a field that he would actually like to do. Because like you don't need to go to college to you if you want to be in law enforcement, for example, you would go to the academy for that. If you want to go to the military, you go to a recruiter for that. If you want to go to EMS, there are courses for that. Like there are things that he might want to do that might not require college level input. And if he wants to go to college, awesome, I am down for that. But also, I need to be open to the possibility that he wants to do something else, an actual career path rather than a job. Nothing wrong with a job. I want my son to have a career, something to go to be better than me. Because I can't get myself a career. At least it's something in the works, but that's once again a conversation for another time. But like I think in this month I realized that like even when he is 18, and heck, we even push it a little bit further. Even if he graduates school and everything else, and decides like, hey, I'm gonna be home because I'm going through this course and it happens to be close to home and all this other stuff, I'll be like, okay, cool. I still need to. I will still have to deal with his mom in some way, shape, or form. It is not until he turns 18. It is not until he's done with school. It is until he dies, and hopefully I go first. And I say that because nobody wants to see their child go before them. Nobody, period. Like, in all seriousness, no one wants to see their child go before them. So, like, yeah, until I fucking die. Oh, jeez. And that realization of, like, oh, it's me and my ex for fucking ever. It's like... Some people have exes. Like, oh, yeah, this is my abusive, toxic, manipulative ex. But once I am done with that person and that person lets me go, I don't have to worry about that. Like, abusive, like, if they're stalking and all that, that's why, like oh, once they give up on that ambition, like, okay, an ex is an ex, to stay in the past, that's great. And I would love nothing more than that. However, when you have a child, there is no such thing as when you are no longer in the picture, unless you are dead or you choose to leave. You choose to leave. And even if you choose to leave, some people would just be like, you know what, I made a mistake. I want to try to come back. Like, bitch, no. And I'm not just saying this for like XM. I'm saying this for like anybody who has that ex partner, baby daddy, baby mama drama kind of stuff. Is that idea that even after like they hit a certain age, the people keep going like, oh, when they get to this age, it's whatever. It's like, no, because I still have to deal with the other parent. I need to be careful about what I say, because once again, anything I say can and will be used against me in the court of law. And that's how my mind is always working. And some of you guys might be like, oh, that's wild, that's crazy, you're overreacting. But in reality, that's exactly how it is. If I said something in one of these videos that she can use against me, that's on me. Everybody else will be like, why'd you say dumb stuff? Why you not protect yourself? And that's why I do that. But yeah, that I realize that it is like, and it doesn't matter who I'm with, that person is also gonna be kind of stuck in that same scenario. My Donna, her daughter's father is something that like she's gonna have to deal with forever. Like, even when she turns 18, he's still gonna be the legal biological father, the physical father, and all that stuff. And like, he might not get as many legal rights, like oh, I get to see him when he, like, oh no, he's 18, he can go over to your place, you don't have to come here anymore. Like, is that kind of like things might, they won't, I was gonna say that they change, they don't get decreased or increased, things just change, the way that things happen change. And like, that might be the only silver lining, but I am literally stuck this way for the rest of my life. And when I realized that, I almost wanted to cry. No lie, I wanted to burst out in tears going, fuck, this is a lot. But alas, you try to make the best of it, right? So the best way we do make the best of that is that you focus on the love that you have in your life currently. So me and Donna, we went to we tend to go to restaurants, different restaurants, and very rarely do we ever go to the same restaurant twice. This time we went to a small mom and pop restaurant. a diner, if you will, with helping the local community, just feeling a little bit more traditional eating. I had a half-pound hamburger. She had a BLT with French fries, and the plate was like literally like freaking huge for her thing. And keep on, they use the same plate for me, and the burger looked like small, but it was like tall, and I'm like, it was all right, and especially for like what they charge, I was like, okay, no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad at all. But it was just good because like we were able just to like talk without having to worry about all the other bullshit. I tried really hard because my brain is always going, so like I'm trying really hard, and once I'm able to lock in, going like, damn, you're beautiful. Like, damn, I'm lucky. Like, damn, let me just stare at you for a little bit. Let me just like give you the side eye as I'm trying to pretend that I'm looking into the menu real quick. Let me just like I guess teenage shit, but like it's that kind of stuff of like being able to be that open and be that goofy and just be us for a minute without having to worry about being parents and worrying about the car and worrying about this, that, whatever. Just being with each other was just nice. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Good part of my almost hour-long rambling. All right, so next thing I have here. Yep, there we go. It's swimming. So swimming, maybe I should actually call that something else. Let's call that summer swimming. So what it is, and this is something that I told my son because I want him to start being a little bit more goal-oriented. I want him to kind of go, I want D. Nope, we're not using it. I want E. Yeah, sure. I want. See how the X. F. I don't know. I. Why is it drugs? Goddamn. And no, I don't do drugs. I really don't. I don't know. That's something that people who do drugs will say. What I mean is that like, I have been around so many police officers, law enforcement, even military people who happen to like be in drug enforcement. Heck, I take plenty of medicine myself, so like I trying to be in the know of certain things is very important because like honestly, some pills like this pill that you might need for life sustaining life, and this pill that's very dangerous to you could be the same color, same size, same shape. The only difference is that this one has a line through it. This one does not. This one you need. This one you do not. And I tend to people should just take medicine like straight from their medicine containers, but like sometimes like, oh shit, I spilled it, or like or whatever the reason. I don't know the scenarios, but like it's just the idea of like you should be aware of the world around you. I guess that's all I'm trying to say. And that's part of my world around me. But I wanted my son to be able to understand if he wants something right here, we're just going to do that. He needs to go through step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. He needs to work his way there. It won't magically happen. He has to work his way to that point. When you go to school, you wake up. So like your parents make you wake up every day. You go to school, you do stuff. But time is more or less the thing that's pushing you forward in that. This thing, I'm adding to it, is that I saw a flyer that stated that if your child maintains an A average before the end of the school year, they get to go to the community pool for free. And guess what, guys? I found out yesterday, apparently not all community pools cost money. Some of them, like, they're supposed to be free, and I'm like, what? We have this community pool, and I say for the rich people because it's one, is in a richer neighborhood. 2, you have to pay to get in, and 3, only the people who tend to get in are like kind of snobby people. It is what it is, and it's like the one that like I even heard like the water's not even that cool. Like it's more lukewarm water. I'm like, I don't want to be sitting in lukewarm water. I don't even like swimming, but my son, he loves swimming. He loves being in water. He's a little mermaid. Merman, we'll go with that. He's a little mermaid. He's a little Aquaman. There we go. He's an Aqua lad, but I'm not Aquaman. Regardless, though, he likes swimming, and he likes swimming to the point where I was gonna get at first I was giving him money so that he can go to the YMCA with his mom whenever they were doing like a couple hours on weekends, every other weekend. I gave him money so that he can get in. Only to find out that like he would give that money to his mom so that she can feed him. I'm like, don't give my money to your mother. She can make her own money. 1. 2, it is not your job to supply yourself with food. Extra food? Sure. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But food, like there's no payback on that. That shouldn't be a thing. But once again, I'm going on his word. Well, I know he really is using it for something else. I don't know, but like based upon that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not giving you money for that. We're just gonna, if you need anything, come to me. We will literally go into the car and get it. Bet, especially like if the funds are there, especially if the funds are there, or we'll order online. It'll come down in 2 days, either or. But yeah, sorry, sidetrack. But I know he likes swimming that much, so I was like, all right, buddy, this is the goal, this is the plan, and this is what I'm gonna remind you on an almost daily basis. If you want to go swimming this summer, this is how we do it, right? You get an A average. I'm gonna be happy. You're gonna be happy. Everybody who knows you and the situation, they're gonna be happy. And not only that, on top of that, you get to go swimming whenever you want. We will pick days that yeah, we're just gonna go swimming here for a couple hours. Well, he's gonna go swimming here for a couple hours. I'm gonna, I don't know, find a way to either deal or find somebody. I don't know. Somebody like have his other friends go with him. Because he's getting to that age where he's in middle school, and I'm not sure exactly when middle schoolers stop having their parents helicopter over them. And I'm a helicopter parent. What can I say? But he's taking that pretty well right now. Like earlier this week, he had 5 A's, 3 B's, which is still like an A average at least for this semester. And I have to look at the paperwork again to see whether or not it is something that is it for the semester or for the whole year average. Because the whole year average, I think last semester was a B. But once again, 4 quarters, if most of them are A's, like he's good. So the idea is to not get a B this semester, this quarter of the semester, but to get an A, so that regardless of whatever he had in the past, it's still going to be an A average overall, and he will be able to get to go swimming for free at the community pool. So that's the goal, and we're doing pretty well. Granted, it dropped down to 4 A's yesterday, and I'm like, what happened? He's like, I didn't get enough time to finish this one assignment. I'm like, cool, we're finishing it now so that you don't end up forgetting about it. And then when you get to school, you be like, here you go, here's my homework, off me. Like I want him to be consistent, because he would be a straight A student if it wasn't for the fact that he has this, he can't finish assignments sometimes. So there's that. So. And we're doing pretty well. He's doing pretty well about it. I'm really proud of him about it. We'll see how well it works. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping everything works according to plan. Okay, guys, this is the last one, and I have 2 minutes to tell you about it. It shouldn't be that bad. All right, so what it is, my car died. Again, yes. So you guys remember when I told you about the alternator dying, the end of last month? And then the car was dying again 2 weeks later. Ended up being the battery, right? And we had to get a new battery. We talked about that earlier. And one of these points over, yeah, there we go, over here. So so whenever my car, after taking my son and his friends to school, because I help some of the kids come get themselves to school, I almost want to get, oh, that's right. So yeah, running out of time. So after I jumped off of school, the car started dying, and I didn't make it home. I had somebody come and jump me. So they jumped me. I brought the car back home, and turns, and based upon doing some troubleshooting and some diagnostic testing, found out that it was the alternator again. We're like, oh crap, the alternator. We just bought that son of a bitch less than a month ago. So I'm like, crap, what are we gonna do? A lot of people, including my brother's brother, Big D, was like, hey, take it to this guy named Bud Bud does electrical services for cars, only the electrical part, but this is part of that system that he works on. He'll know what to do. He can fix it up right up for you, exactly where you need to be. So I'm like, all right, bet. We'll go down and check out this Bud. And this guy at first was like, okay, well, we can, replace some of the brushes on the inside. Well, so I went down there with my old alternator because I didn't want to take out the new alternator and bring that down. I wanted to see if the old alternator, if there was anything actually wrong with the old alternator, or if it's something else faulty. Because it seems weird that like the alternator went out, then the battery went out, and then now like it's dying still again. Like it's something else going on. If the alternator from before was actually fine, it changes the dynamic compared to like, oh, there's something with the alternator that we just got less than a month ago. So he was like, okay, well, we can clean the brushes on the inside, and we can, fix it up pretty for like $30, like for that process. And I'm like, all right, cool. Is there another process? Like, okay, yeah, there's another one where we do the whole works. We go inside, like, we clean everything out. We make sure everything works properly the way it's supposed to be. And I'm like, oh, that sounds expensive. Like, yeah, that's for like $90. I'm like, that's not bad. Bet, let's do that. So I'm all excited. I'm like, I might, like, granted, I still don't have money because I only get paid. I think I got paid yesterday. So I was like really super excited. Like, cool, we're gonna do this, but yada yada yada. So, but the guy was like, but we're gonna need your actual car here. I'm like, the car that dies? Like, yeah, you're gonna need that car. And that's the part that I like the most. So I had my friend follow me that day, knowing that when I started the car, the clock started ticking because it starts at 11.1 volts. And everything that I do, from rolling down the windows, from turning on the lights, to even revving up the AC, whatever required energy, took away volts from the battery. I had until 7 volts before the car would decide it is best to shut off than to keep going. So I had to travel at least 5 miles, might have been like maybe 3 to 4 miles, to 2 stoplights, stop signs, and with 3 stop signs, 2 lights, and through main road too. So like if I stopped in any of these, like if the car decided to die at any of these spots, we'd be obstructing traffic. Police might be involved. It might be a whole ordeal. People might get hurt. And I'm trying to avoid all that. So I'm like, I said I'm trying to avoid all that, and you're about to hear what I'm about to say. So my mind was like, cool, ticking time bomb. I gotta get this car from point A to point B. Put on my sunglasses. I'm the transporter. And I start driving, and like, I'm not gonna lie, there was, out of the 3 stop signs, there were 4 stop signs, there were 2 rolling stops. That there was a police officer, would have every right to stop me. I got to the stoplight, and I did this little trick where I try to keep it revving, but once again, more power to a car that like isn't necessarily doing the energy part properly. So like, but luckily I was there for like maybe like a 5-second pause, but that was enough for it to go down like 0.2 points. I'm like, geez. And if we don't make it, like, once again, I do have someone to jump me, but depending on where the car stops working, when the car stops working, power share doesn't work with as like at all. So like, I might not be able to pull into a parking lot, to pull into a side street. So I'm trying to get it there in one hit. And I'm driving like Vin Diesel, switching gears and everything, only when I need to, and like I am trying to drive quickly, safely, and get there before the 11.1 becomes a 7. Because once it becomes a 7, boom, the car would just stop. So, good news, I made it. Made it there. So not only did they have the old alternator, obviously since I drove there. There was an alternator inside the car. And within that same, like, at the 11th hour, at like, they close at 5, at 4:59, they call up going, hey, you can come pick up your car. All right, cool, how much is it gonna cost? And they go, $220. I'm like, what happened to the 30 and the 90? And they're like, oh, that's still there, but now there was labor hours. I'm like, fuck. It was like a couple days thing. Like at least I dropped it off in the morning, and I didn't get the car. Like I didn't get the phone call for the car until like damn near evening. So luckily, my brother's brother helped me out with what I was missing. Now I owe him a repayment plan. I hate that, but this is where we're at. So yeah, that's been my month. An hour and four, and too much of it was circled around baby mama drama. There we go. I had to remember how to say that. But like, yeah, a lot of car issues, baby mama drama. Who knows what March is gonna hold? I'm gonna. And the hardest thing really was like making a mental note to make a physical note on what's been going on this month, and then to be able to push myself to do this video, because at this time I was actually planning to play a game called Humans Fall Flat, but I don't hear the pitter patter of my son's feet out there, so he's probably still sleeping. With that being said, I have to catch up on the messages. She's been messaging me off and on, and I every time I get distracted about looking upon that, I get distracted with you guys. Like I distract from you guys. I don't want to keep doing that. I'm gonna find a better way to keep this active. I know there's like a starting soon thing I probably can start doing. I know there's probably like a ending soon thing I could probably start doing. Maybe there's a way I can even start promoting what I do. But I honestly don't mind the therapy. Just being able to like express this what I'm going through. Majorly, like this doesn't include like the stuff that happens with the other agencies. This doesn't include anything that happens on the day-to-day like maintenance and functions of this household, really. Just the major big points. So like, you know, be very happy that I share this with you, but also know that I need to share it with somebody, or else it's just gonna explode within me. There was something I wanted to bring up. One of my coworkers, when I was explaining them the situation with not just my son's mother, but also with the car situation. And as I'm talking to her about this, I am also like, I think it happened when I had this interaction with my coworker right after the car situation happened. So I'm making down notes like, okay, this is what happened. This is what we did to troubleshoot. This is what we think is going on, and this is the actions that I think, the options of the actions that I think we can go through. And my coworker, I'm gonna call her K, but I have so many Ks. She was like, "You're handling the situation really, really well," and I'm like, "I am freaking out right now. What do you mean?" She goes, "I would have burned. I would have broken stuff, burned stuff. It would have just been a chaotic mess, and I would have been like, fuck it." And I'm like, I don't have the luxury to say fuck it. We need that car. I don't have the luxury to say fuck it when it comes to like my son's mom, because my son's involved. Like mainly everything, even the car involves my son. So like, you know, all that matters to me. All that, like, you know, I do that so that he has a decent life, because he's the most important thing to me. Most important. And I literally give it my 110%. Not whenever I feel like it, not whenever I can. I make sure that things don't get that bad. I don't go like, oh shit's bad, I need to fix it. Granted, shit happens and I do fix it, but like the things like rent's always paid. That's never a thing. We always have the lights on. That's like, we would never be in a situation where we're turning off your lights because like you didn't pay your bill. There will always be food in the fridge for the kids first before us. That kind of stuff. So like, yeah. Alright. I think I talked enough. I talked for an hour and 8 minutes, about to be an hour and 10. Thank you guys very much for coming by and listen to me ramble for about an hour. I appreciate it. I don't know when I'll do this next time, but I do plan to do it again. I want to do it again in 2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks might be a good time. I don't know. And I want to see if I can find a better format. But I think I said that last time. I don't know how to make a better format. It's one of those things, like every time I sit down and look at it, I'm like, I kind of like how it is, but I kind of wanted to change. But no, that's enough for me. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you guys actually had a pretty decent time watching me ramble on. All right. Hopefully, it might have given you guys some insight. Give me your stories. Give me anything like, oh yeah, I've been through that, or like, oh yeah, that's crazy what you go through, or I don't know, anything at all. Let me know. In the meantime, you guys take care, and I'll see you guys in the next stream. Okay.